Hey everyone, welcome to Gilded Reviews. Today we are taking a look at Tower of Time from developer Event Horizon. Tower of Time was recently released from early access and has caught the attention of many classic RPG fans. Featuring a unique combat system, a well-designed story, and interesting leveling mechanics, Tower of Time does an excellent job recreating the classic RPG formula. Let's start off with the art, animation, and sound. This game is beautiful. Every level of the tower is unique and well crafted. The animations and sound are decent enough, aside from the occasional graphical glitch. My issue here is with story elements. Areas of the game that could have easily been animated are simple text-based scenes. These scenes seem to increase in frequency as you descend deeper into the tower. However, the game does not suffer much. The authors have done an excellent job being descriptive, making sure to engage our imagination. It isn't terrible, it just wasn't really what I expected. While we are kind of on the subject, the text also needs to be edited. There are frequent mistakes, things like repeated lines and spelling errors. I am sure this will all get worked out. It isn't a huge issue and has nothing to do with mechanics, but it can sometimes be obvious enough to be distracting. Again, this seems to get worse as the game gets closer to the end. Let's talk about the story for a second here. I loved it, albeit it takes a bit to get into. Overall, it is well written and was engaging enough to keep me interested throughout the entirety of the game. The problem I have is the story gives off, at least for me, an illusion of choice. I played the entire game thinking I was making decisions that would impact the outcome of the story, when really I wasn't. Instead, the choices the game gives you affect your stats, not the story, which is a nice surprise once you get used to it. On easier difficulties, it won't really matter, but even on normal, picking the right choice can really make a difference in combat. This is because the game links the choices you make to the alignment of the heroes in your group. If they dislike the decision, they will start to dislike you, and if you do that enough, you will actually have negative stats placed on the party when they are in the group. Say you like Eric because of his healing and mana totem. If he disagrees with you enough, your party's mana regen can go negative, forcing you to focus on putting mana regen into your gear. It really is a nice little circle of consequences. Do I wish my choices affected the story? Yes, of course I do. But this is a nice and rather different approach. The combat is what really makes this title so unique. It seems to be a combination of genres that all fit well together to create some pretty strategic situations. There are multiple maps that continue to change in aesthetic as you descend the tower. This keeps things changing throughout the game. Usually encounters will consist of enemies coming at you in waves from portals set up throughout the map. There are a few different types of engagements as well, giving the game a little variety. You have direct control over 4 heroes, and they all have their own unique skills. During combat, you can move your characters or have them move around on their own. I found it much easier to take direct control of them. This allowed me to focus down specific targets quickly. There is also a heavy focus on positional awareness, both in line of sight with your enemy and keeping them away from your glass cannons. It sounds simple enough, but it can be easy to get overwhelmed. The developers knew this, so they introduced a slow time effect. This option can be toggled on and off easily and allows you to slow things down or pause the game entirely to react to your enemies. I love this mechanic, and it was a great addition to the combat. However, even with this, the combat is extremely challenging. Utilizing everything you can will give you the advantage you need to progress. You do this through leveling your heroes and their equipment. This is a well-designed RPG system. Each piece of gear has random buffs or debuffs that affect the stats. In fact, many pieces will lower some stats while increasing others dramatically. For instance, a chess piece may have incredibly high defense for that area, but also might cause your character to move extremely slow. You can tell the developers really wanted you to spend time working on your gear. You can upgrade stats, change the rarity, and enchant most pieces. It is also easy to see what level the gear is, making upgrading rather simple once you get the hang of it. Leveling your characters is a little different. You have to find the blueprints for the buildings they currently reside in. When you unlock or level up the building, you can then train your party at the barracks. All of this costs gold, which you will find throughout your adventure. Once trained, you can then select where to allocate the skills and attribute points. Each character has a few skills to choose from, and swapping between skills is extremely easy. All of these RPG systems work together to create a great experience. Now for me, it did start to get a little old, especially towards the end. I think this had to do more with the balancing than the actual mechanics though, which is a good thing. Balance issues can easily be fixed. And what I mean by this is that boss fights were drastically easier than regular fights, especially if it's a portal or tower map. I found myself dreading encounters that had portals and actively trying to avoid them. However, by this point, the story had me hooked hooked and I really wanted to finish it. One thing I noticed was a serious lack of puzzles. The few that I did find were much more fetch type quests, having me run back and forth across the map. Let's go over some of the pros and cons really quick so you can decide if this game is right for you. For the pros, Tower of Time has a well-designed and integrated story, fantastic RPG elements, unique mechanics, and a slow time effect that creates some seriously tactical combat. And on the con side, unfortunately, key animations are missing from some story elements, there are frequent text errors that can break immersion, choices have no real effect on the story, content and level design feel more rushed towards the end of the game, boss fights are way too easy, and there is a serious lack of puzzles. Now this last one isn't really a pro or a con, it is more of a preference, but this game is also extremely linear. This title will offer classic RPG fans a tremendous amount of value. Just completing this story on normal will net you close to 50 hours. If you're trying to 100% the game, I would put that closer to 70 or 80 hours depending on the difficulty level. This title is not for everyone, but if you enjoy story-rich content, fantastic RPG mechanics, and tactical combat, you can't go wrong, especially for the $25 asking price. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I love these classic RPG games that have been coming out recently. We still have Pillars of Eternity 2 coming soon. What are some of your favorite classic RPGs? I personally would have to go with Icewind Dale, Nox, Septerra Core, and Divinity Original Sin 2. Anyhow, thanks again, and if you liked the video, you know what to do. If you are new here, consider subscribing, or checking out some of our other content. It really helps us out.